Hello, I'm Shannon Sharpe. Welcome to another edition of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay, and the guy that's stopping by for a drink and conversation today is three-time NBA Sixth Man of the Year. He's the all-time leader in four-point plays. He's the only man to drop 50 with four different teams, and he's the oldest player in NBA history to score 50 points in a ball game, Jamal Crawford.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why. All my life, I've been grinding all my life.
Jamal, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for stopping by. So what are you currently doing?
Remote schooling is getting most of my attention to start. You know, I got three younger kids in the house, and my schedule is based around them. So, you know, once they get settled and get everything going, me and my wife split it up, and then I get to work it out. And then just doing my thing I do in the community. So, and still watching some ball, but, you know, those are my main focuses right now.
So are you done with ball, or would you like to get an opportunity to come back and play?
Yeah, I would love to get an opportunity to come back and play. You know, I'm working like opportunity is there. And if it doesn't happen, I'm doing it for me anyway, just love of the game, you know, and, nothing can replace that feeling. I think I can still help, to be honest with you. But, vets are having a tough time getting back in right now. So I'm just trying to be patient and look at the glasses half full.
So even after 20 years, you played 20 seasons, you've accomplished probably more than you thought you would at this point, and you still want more. You still have that hunger. You still have that drive to say, you know what, I can still help a team.
Absolutely. I will be playing whenever it's official I retire. I'll be playing after that. I'll be at LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness around you. So I'll definitely be playing somewhere. Just love of the game. That's the only thing it's about for me at this point.
So you want to continue to play, so only for a contender, or you just want to get back in the league to play to show you still can, or does it need to be for a contender?
No, I would love to play for a contender, but obviously, you know, it's not always about the destination. Sometimes it's the journey. And I went through it in Phoenix, having a younger squad and seeing guys like Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges, and really being there for those guys like TJ Warren, and seeing that they, have that vet in the locker room, things they may not have known, things they can learn, and things they can carry for the foundation of their career. I had the same thing when I was playing with Scottie Pippen or Charles Oakley, and I didn't learn how to be a pro until I had pros around me and those vets around me, learning that being on time is being early as a young player and staying late. So if you can build those good habits for a younger team as well, I'm all for it.
So what is the age that Jamal will officially retire? Or is there an age? Or you just like, you know what? Because it seems to me you still have the passion. And you said even after you're done, you're still going to play. So what's the end point? What's the time that you says, okay, I'm done with NBA basketball. I still might play at Lifetime or 24-hour, wherever I'm going, but I'm done with the NBA.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think last year I was getting to that point, and seeing how things are going with Melo, and that just broke my heart. And then, there's a lot of people that kind of wanted to see him out the league, and said he was too old or he wasn't this or that, but he reinvented himself. He stayed patient. And when I was losing my faith, that really restored it. And then getting a call from Brooklyn, going through those practices and playing that one game, it basically solidified what I already knew I could do on the court. It just needed the opportunity. It didn't last long, unfortunately. But for me, I think after this year, I have to revisit it and kind of see where we're at. And if nothing happens, and kind of make that decision then.
You mentioned Melo reinventing himself, but the thing that you've always done, Jamal, you've always accepted your role. You're like, okay, I'm going to come off the bench. I'm fine with that. I don't think Melo in the beginning accepted that role, that teams wanted him to come off the bench. And he saw himself as Nuggets, Knicks Melo, but that's not how teams needed him. They didn't need a Knicks a Nuggets Melo. And you've mentioned he reinvented himself. It wasn't until he accepted the role. I'm coming off the bench. I'm going to get shots. I'm going to have to be more of a catch and shoot guy. I'm not going to get the post ups that I normally get. Is that we finally start to see he can actually help a team.
He can definitely help a team. In the situation, especially like with OKC, I think that's where it kind of started, as far as like, can we use him this way? Is he open to different things? And if you go back and look, that was probably the least amount he actually had the ball. So I think he bought in then. And then when he went to Houston, they don't like mid-range shots. It was more threes or layups. And Melo's strength was, being a bully in the mid-post area. Right. So I think he was open to it. And he didn't look good in that situation. And knowing him a little bit, I know that he was willing to do whatever if they were just straight shooters, had a conversation with him. And then when he gets this situation in Portland that fits into a team, they need him. He embraced it. He said, you know what, I trust you guys. I know you're going to do right by me in my career and what I've accomplished. So I had no problem being a sixth man and coming off. And he probably just looks at himself as a sixth starter. You know, when he gets out there, especially with CJ being out recently, he's had some huge games. He's had some games that obviously Dame has, scored 50 and went crazy, but Melo's had some games that have really kind of helped them get over that hump where they need that additional score. So I'm so happy for him.
Because if you really look at it, he's really their only post-up player. They don't have a big they can dump the ball down to in the post and say, go get me a bucket. Melo is that guy. Dame is as spectacular he is. He's a little small to be posting up. That's really not CJ's game. Cantor is really not a post player. So if you look at it, Melo is really their only post-up guy. Yeah,
it's a perfect situation for him. They've really embraced him. I don't think they've used what he didn't do well against him. They didn't try to hold that against him. And I think he's been able to flourish. I think he's fresh mentally. I even see him dunking now, even if it's just a warm-up, getting a double pump backwards dunk. I said, he's in a good place mentally.
So because clearly you could have been a starter. Why were you so willing to embrace, okay, this is the role they see me in. Let me embrace this, get the job done. And you arguably the greatest sixth man in NBA history. Why were you so willing to embrace that role when you can drop 50 on a given night and knowing that you're good enough to be a starter?
To be honest with you, I got to a point in my career that I was tired of losing. I was at year 10. I'd average, I think, 20 points accumulatively for 3 straight years. And I didn't want to be that guy who's a good player on bad teams. Yeah, he's a good player, but he's just putting up numbers on bad teams. I didn't want to be that guy. I've always won ever since I was a kid. I won when I was in high school, won a championship, won in college, the games I played. And I didn't want to be that guy. And at that time, they kind of put you in a box. You know what I mean? Like, he's that guy. So I said, you know what? I'll do whatever it takes. I got traded to Atlanta. I remember meeting with Rick Sun, their president. He was like, you know what? We just went to the playoffs. We have our starting 5 in place, but you can still have a huge role for us coming off the bench. And I was like, you know what? I'm confident enough in myself, and I'm all about the team. Whatever you guys want, I'll do it. And so I didn't know that the second half of my career, that would kind of take on a life of its own. It's cool to go to camps and be in gyms, and the kids, especially that look like me, coming from my communities, are like, you know what? It's not always about starting. It's cool to be a sixth man, because they had Ginobili's and they had the Jason Terrys, but for whatever reason, it really resonated with them when I did it, and I think that's really cool, and I'm happy with the way it's turned out.
Did you ever go to a situation you're like, but the guy that's starting, I'm better than him. He should be coming off the bench. I should be starting.
I never had like that, to be honest with you. I just always said, you know what, there's a role for all of us. There's no big me's and little U's, and even as a sixth man, my teammates, the coaches, they treated me like a starter. They treated me with that same respect, so I never looked at it like that. I had to trick myself, when I first did it, because I had never come off the bench up to that point. So I said, you know what, mentally, I said, okay, Superman's coming in the game. They're just getting it warmed up for Superman. So I would do things like that to kind of trick myself, to give myself that edge coming into the game. But I never looked at it like that. I always looked at it like, you know what, I'm providing. All the great teams had a sixth man, from Ginobili to Pierce, Ricky Pierce, to Kevin McHale back in the day. All those
Johnson.
Microwave, right? So all those guys, Jason Terry with Dallas. I said, okay, you know what? All these elite level teams have a guy with that brings that punch off the bench, and I have no problem doing that.
When I played, I wasn't the starter, but I felt that I wasn't the starter at first, and then I worked my way into the starting lineup. But I felt coming off the bench, it gave me a sense of the game. I got a feel of exactly what I needed to do once I got into the game. Is that how you looked at it? Because you got a feel, you're coming in at about 6-7 minutes into the ball game, you get a sense of the flow, you get a sense of how the refs are calling the game, what exactly you need to do in order to help your team win on that given night.
You nailed it. That's exactly what I was doing. I'm telling Chris or Joe Johnson at the time in Atlanta, like, oh, okay, when you play pick and roll, they're forcing you to your left, and then the second guy is going to rotate. So I'm giving them things to look at it, and knowing when I get in the game, I don't have to go through that because I'm watching them go through it, right? At the time, I see that I'm a primary scorer. I know the defense is going to shift to me when I come in the game. They know what I'm coming in the game to do. So I'm watching how they're playing different things, who I should put in pick and roll, who do I want to get a shot, how they're going to do it. Oh, they're trapping the second rotation this time. Okay, so I'm watching all these things and downloading it, so I know when I come in the game, I hit the ground running. And my coaches and teammates, I think it gave them a comfort as well. Because starters, you may get off to a slow start. Sometimes you're looking for that bench to come give you that oomph that night when you're in your 4th game in 5 nights in Milwaukee or Denver, or wherever it might be, to kind of get things back rolling and get over the hump.
How do you maintain your confidence? Because you're coming off the bench and your job is to light it up. And all of a sudden that light, that particular night, you don't have it. How do you maintain confidence for the next night and the next night? Because you have a specific role. Your role is to give us buckets off the bench.
And you know what? The other teams know that's my specific role too. So they're trying to stop that, right? So for me, I think work ethic eliminates fear. I've always been a student. I've never been a know-it-all. I've always been a guy trying to learn. I don't care who it was from. A person on the street, a person who's worth $1 billion. I'm always trying to learn, educate myself. I did the same thing with basketball. I watched a lot of film, watch a lot of tape, see how I can be better. And so for me, I was always playing the game within the game and not just looking at the surface level stuff, but digging deeper to see how I can be effective for my team. And it worked out for me.
When do you know that you got it going on a particular night? Is it a feel? Is it like the first 2 or 3 shots going in? When do you know, it's like, you know what, y'all in trouble tonight?
Shannon, what's funny? If I hit the first 2 shots, if I hit the first shot, oh, it's over. I'm all like, hey, bring the band out, it's party time now. Hey, I'm telling you. And now with social media, everything's being documented in real time. So I know if I do a crazy move in a shot, it's like I feel like I'm a monster. And I just get bigger and bigger and bigger on the court.
Right.
So for me, that first shot, my highest scoring game in my career, I scored 52 against the Heat. Right. I missed my first 4 shots, but they felt good. Man, they feel good. From that point on to the third quarter, in the first quarter, third quarter, I didn't miss a shot. I hit 16 straight shots down the court, but I felt it even when I was 0 for 4. You know what I mean? So it's just funny. Sometimes players may feel it, but they don't get the opportunity to get to the rest of the game. They may come out if they're on a short leash. You just never know how things go. But for me, I can tell when that first make goes in, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a long night for me.
It's funny that you say that your best night you had scoring wise, you missed your first 4 shots. Me, yeah. I just needed to catch the ball. Sometimes I just caught the ball and went down because in my mind, I don't want that to creep in. Oh, Shannon, you dropped it. You dropped it. They know you dropped it. And so now they're going to start tugging and pulling at the ball, bumping you a little bit more to make you lose confidence. How do you because you say, I missed those shots, but they felt good.
They felt good, Shannon. And before I know it, I'm dribbling the ball and I'm skipping down the court. I'm coming down with a rhythm and a bop. And I don't even know I'm doing it. It's just the moment and the feeling of it, right? So once I do that, I'm in the game. And once I'm in the game, I think anything can happen. And it can change the course of the game. You may hit a half-court shot. It was worth 3 points, but it was worth so much more than that when the crowd's going crazy and your teammates are into it. It gives you a whole new juice, a whole new life. So, yeah, you're right.
We see these guys with tremendous handles now. We see Steph Curry patting the rock. I think Kyrie Irving has the best handles that I've ever seen, and I've seen from Rod Strickland to Isaiah Thomas, and yourself had crazy handles. Stephon Marbury. Where would you put your handles when it comes to handles with guys being able to not only just, we've seen guys handle the ball, but they can't shoot. We've seen guys can shoot, they can't handle the ball, but you were a combination. Where would you rank your handles?
I hate talking about myself, to be honest with you, but I would say I'm top tier. If there was a top shelf of drinks, I don't drink. If there's a top shelf of drinks, I'll be on that top shelf.
You on the top shelf?
I'm on the top shelf.
Okay, all time. Give me your 4 top handles of all time.
Not including myself.
Huh?
No, I'm not going to include myself. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
I'm going to put Kyrie.
Okay.
I'm going to put white chocolate.
Okay, Jason Williams.
Yeah. You see, I got him on my poster up there. He's right there. I got the white chocolate. And I got to put, this last one, Allen Iverson / Rod Strickland / Nick Van Exel / Van / Stephon Marbury. I'm putting them all in there last. And / Chris Paul. I got to put CP on there.
Because I think the thing is that when we see guys with handles, it's one thing to have handles because we've seen guys at the park that have handles and can't shoot a lick. But the way these guys can handle the ball and still get their shot off, that's what's most impressive to me, is that I've seen great shooters, but they need someone to pick for them, and they have to come off screens or they have to, but these guys can handle the ball. Kyrie and Steph Curry, the way they can handle the ball and get that shot off. Dame, I forgot about Dame Lillard.
Dame, Skip to Malou, I got some, Mahmoud, you got a lot of people, But I think, like you said, the difference is, especially in today's game, if you can dribble the ball and you can shoot, you're unguardable. Because the physicality, you can't get too close to somebody that can dribble, right?
Right.
But you can't back up and let them shoot either. So if you can do both, you walk in 25 points a game if you have the freedom to do it.
What do you think about what you see with these guys shooting these logo threes? I watched Dame and I watched Steph Curry shoot logo threes like they're shooting free throws. Did you ever think the game would morph into what it's become?
Not at all, because when I came in the game, it was specific positions, right? If you was a point guard, I don't care if you was the best shooter in the world, you got to get that wing score the ball first. You better throw it in the Shaq, right?
Right.
I don't care who you are. So if you look at a guy like Ray Allen, who's the best shooter until Steph, he probably took 5 threes a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the game is morphed and changed, and to see Steph, to see Dame, to see Trae Young, to see all these guys shooting it from logos, they're making their teammates better too. Even though they're shooting from the logo, they're making their teammates better because they're providing space. When you have space and you can't touch, now the game is just unlocked. And to see that and to see these kids working on that, I was born, 15 years too early, because I would have really enjoyed this.
Because when you look at it, you guys took those shots. It was the end of the quarter. It was the end of the half. It was late in the shot clock. You tried to beat the shot clock. These guys are taking the shots that you took at the end of the half, the end of the game, late in the shot clock. They're taking that shot with 18 seconds in the shot clock. They're taking that shot. They come down a 3-on-1 and launch a 28-foot three-pointer.
Yeah. You know what the worst shot in basketball was when I came in? An off the dribble three. They said, you can get that shot with 5 seconds on the clock. Why are you coming down shooting that shot now? People didn't think you could win being a jump shooting team till Golden State changed it, right? So now, 15, 20 years later, the game is just unlocked. It's like everybody has freedom to shoot. They can expand and see how far they can go with it. I mean, now you got guys, like you said, pulling up right inside half court. 20 seconds on the clock. Right. And that's unlocking the game. We haven't seen this before. Nobody's been able to have that freedom and then to take the game to that kind of level. So it's an unbelievable place right now.
Yeah, what I saw with the All-Star game with Dame and Steph, that was ridiculous. That was the greatest shooting performance that I've ever seen in the game. I'm watching guys take one step across half court, shoot the ball like it's their normal shot, and they splashing it. What Dame did to end the game, he scored the last 11 for LeBron's team that won. In the last shot of the game, he walks one step across half court and shoots it, and like, okay, Steph Curry is already waving by.
And the confidence to shoot like that. Right, because I mean, even that confidence to do that, you have to be so heightened. The heightened confidence, it has to be through the roof. Right. To shoot that shot and not say, oh man, my teammate, even though I have the freedom, the teammates gonna look at me crazy. What am I doing this for? But these guys are taking it to a new level, and it's just fun to sit back and watch.
When you realize, and it's probably, I don't know if it's ever gonna be done again, a guy plays with 4 different teams and he's able to score 50 with 4 different teams. What do you remember about each 50-point game in the specifics of the team?
The first one with the Bulls, it was Roman Madrowski. Look this up. Roman Madrowski says, my last game on the beat. It's pregame. You doing scrum. He says, my last game on the beat, you can score. Go give me 50 a night. And I looked and I turned serious. I said, I'm going to get 50 a night. And I went and got 50 in Toronto. And I remember I was wearing some S. Carters. And Jay-Z texted me after the game and said, must be the shoes. So that was cool. The second one was against Miami, and they had just won the championship. And like I said, I missed the first 4 shots, and then I scored 42 straight points without a miss. So it was like a video game. I was coming down. I hit 16 straight shots in one game, and of those 16, 8 of them were threes. That was the hottest night of my life to me. If I would stay, I came out with 7 minutes to go. So if I would have stayed in, it probably would have been like 65, I believe. And that was probably the hottest night. The third one was against Charlotte. And that was maybe the easiest one, to be honest with you. I shot a lot of free throws. I shot 18 free throws. And I had a rough game the night before in Atlanta. And I remember Don Nelson said, we're not having shoot around, just sleep in all day. I slept all day and had 50. The last one was probably the most impressive personally, because that's when people are like, oh, he's year 19. He can't do this no more, Right. And to do it on Dirk's night, of course. And everybody's there watching, all the legends there, Charles Barkley, everybody there. And to do it off the bench. And I've been coming off the bench for over a decade, and I had really good games. I'm like, man, if I would start, this would be 50. To have the opportunity to do that, to score 50 off the bench and 5 assists and 5 rebounds, it would have been unbelievable to win. That's the only game I ever scored 50 and lost. But on Dirk's night, to celebrate with him, it was an unbelievable feeling.
When you hit the 16 straight shots, had you ever been that hot before, and had you ever been that hot since?
I had never been that hot before. I may hit 10 in a row, then miss 1, then hit another 2, then miss 1, and miss. Not 16 straight. It felt like I could have kicked it up there. That was the Miami Heat. They had just won the championship the year before.
Was that opening night? that you guys
It
booked?
was, no, it wasn't open night. It was in January, I believe.
Okay.
It was in January. But they had just won the year before, you know. So when they come to town in the Garden, it's a show. You got Wade, you got Shaq, you got GP.
Right.
Yeah, it was a show. Yeah.
You played last year for like with Brooklyn. You mentioned when they went down into the bubble, you had a 5-point game in 5 minutes. Did playing in that situation lead you to believe that, you know what, I can still play. I can still give somebody 15 minutes a night and maybe give them double-digit points?
I'm gonna tell you two things to that. Absolutely, Shannon. I went to practice. I got there late. I went to practice, and practice looked just like the game did. And I didn't want to just come back against anybody. Milwaukee at the time was number 1 in the East. I said I want to come back against somebody nice, you know.
Right.
So for that 5-minute stretch, it was. I mean, I had 5 points and 3 assists in 5 minutes.
Right.
And the whole game, the complexion of the game changed. And for my teammates, it was what they had seen in practice. The crazy part about the hamstring was the hamstring, and I'm telling you this, I've never said it. The hamstring happened in the weight room. I never lift weights. I'm notorious for not lifting weights and just going to, you know, do my routine and go do my thing. But here I am being blessed enough to get a call. I'm not going to go to a new team. I'm not doing the weight. I'm not doing this, that. So I've been, and you know, I lifted, I guess just that was too quick a turnaround from the weights to not playing for 16 months to the weights to right to a game. But no, I feel great now. And yeah, it confirmed what I believed I knew previous season.
I'm looking at you and I'm looking at, you played a lot of different teams. You mentioned the Bulls, you mentioned Toronto, so you've played with a lot of great players, the Clippers. When you around those great players, I mean, how do you like, I guess it's different from basketball because, you know, you try not to step on anybody's toes, but I got a job to do here. I also got a job. I understand you are who you are, but I got a job to do. How do you manage that? Because from what I see and from what I hear, basketball player egos are a lot different than football players' egos.
Well, I was blessed to play with some great superstars. Every superstar I played with and every star player I played with empowered me. They said, no. You do what you do. You know, if you look back at the Clippers, I was there 5 years. We had 2 superstars in Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, then DeAndre Jordan became a star. For 5 years, I was top 5 in the league in fourth quarter scoring in the whole league when I was with the Clippers. So they empowered me to say, you know what, we're superstars. We're going to do our thing. We're going to lead us, but we know the fourth quarter is your time. So they never tried to say slow down or any of that. They empowered me and wanted me to be better because they felt like it would help our team be better. So I was blessed to play with some great players.
You mentioned, I mean, playing with so many great players and they're empowering you. So when you say they empower you, how would someone not empower you to do your job? I mean, what can a superstar do to, like, guys don't feel comfortable being themselves?
Well, for me in my game, you've seen I take some crazy shots, Shannon. So if they come off and say, hey, man, you need to slow down, you know, then it's gonna get me thinking, you know. And the worst thing, especially a basketball player and a shooter could do is think.
Right.
So you know, if that gets you thinking, then now you're like, oh no, let me go this way. Now you're not aggressive, and I've never been a defender to that degree, so I'm gonna be on the bench if I ain't making something happen offensively, you know. Right. And they've always said, no, go be that attacker. Go be that guy that, you know, kind of like not our secret weapon, but one of our guns, and go make it happen. They've always done that. And most coaches I played for have done that, especially a guy like Doc Rivers. He never held what I didn't do well against me. He always empowered me as well. And I think that helped me in my career as well.
Why weren't you guys able to get it done with the Clippers? You mentioned you have Blake Griffin as a superstar. You have Chris Paul, who's one of the premier point guards, who's going to be an all-time great. You have DeAndre Jordan, a Buttons star at the time. Why weren't you guys able to get the ball across the finish line?
I think it was two things. I think one, we had some bad breaks. You know, in the 5-minute stretch in the playoffs at one point, Chris, Blake breaks his hand. I think Chris pulls a hamstring. You can go look. We're playing the Portland Trail Blazers. We're up 2-1 in the series. This is a 5-minute stretch. There was some other injuries, but to be very, very honest, I think we weren't mentally ready to take that step. I think at the time we were all thinking about our youth. Oh, if we don't get it done this time, we want to get it done. If we don't get it done this time, we got time on our sides, right? And you look at a team like even OKC at the time when they played Miami in the finals. It took years for even one of those guys to get back to the finals between Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. So I think we weren't mentally ready to take that next step, and I think in the end it cost us.
But people talk about the butting of the heads between Chris Paul and Blake. Did you notice it? Did you notice it? Did you feel like there was tension between those two guys? Because superstars, normally somebody has to say, take a back seat. With
Right.
Jordan and Pippen knew, hey, I ain't better than Jordan, I'm cool. But Shaq and Kobe had some tension because Kobe's like, hold on, bro. Hey, I'm level.
And so for us, it was interesting and it was weird because not just those two, you can pick up on little things here and there throughout our team.
Right.
But we never just addressed it. We never just addressed
Why
it head
not?
on and dealt with. I don't know, because off the court we were cool. Everybody was cool.
Right.
But we never addressed it head on, and I think that was the root of the problem. When it gets tough, and now if somebody say something, you don't know what kind of place it's coming from.
Right.
Because you guys have never addressed it head on. You know,
what you say? What you say? But hold on.
Right.
But you got tenure. That's where you're supposed to step in because you were there. I mean, you were what? I mean, at that time, you had been in the league 6, 7, 8 years, 9, 10
absolutely.
years.
Absolutely.
So because you the OG, why didn't you pull CP aside? Why didn't you pull Blake aside? Why didn't you guys go to dinner and say, guys, look, in order for us to get to ultimately where we need to be, we got to be together, and we're not.
Oh, we had those meetings. We had those talks. We definitely had them, you know, but we never all, and it wasn't just those two, we never all got on the same page. If you look, Shannon, I'm telling you, that for that 5-year stretch, I think we were 3rd or 4th in the league in wins. Like we were winning a bunch of games, but when it counted, either be bad luck or us never addressing what was really going on, the elephant in the room through all of us, it didn't happen. And that's something I think if you look back on now, we all regret.
Do we know what the elephant in the room is? Were they vying for, okay, this is my team, no, this is my team, no, this is my team. I was here the longest, I'm the best player. What is it?
That's the thing. Like both of them was very comfortable who they were. If you look at that time, they both were probably top 2 or 3 with LeBron and KD that had the most commercials out there. So it wasn't like, this is my team, this commercial. It was just a weird dynamic. And like I said, it just wasn't those two. It spread throughout the team. And we never got on the same page. And it always came to a halt when we were in the toughest moments in the playoffs.
Sometimes when you have situations like that, the teams end up choosing sides. If you got a 15-man locker room and you got 2 superstars, you know, half of the guys going with him and half of the guys over there, and that serves no purpose for anyone.
No, not at all. But that wasn't the issue. Everybody was cool with both of them. Like they're both good dudes. We was cool with everybody. That's why it's so weird. It wasn't like, man, this was going on. We got to handle this, and it's these two. And it wasn't like that. Like they were very cordial. They would talk. Everything was cool. But it was just something bubbling throughout our team that we didn't address, and it cost us, bottom line.
You Phoenix, you mentioned Book, you mentioned Britt, you mentioned the guys, some of the guys, DeAndre Ayton, the guys that you played with. When we talk about Devin Booker, everybody says, and we saw the 70-point game that he had. Did you know he had that in him?
You know what I didn't know about Book until I saw him? I didn't know that winning mattered to him as much as it did. And what I mean by that is I looked at him from a distance like, yeah, he's putting up all these points, but they're losing every game. You know, he's scoring a bunch, he's losing. Right. But then once I got next to him and we start playing one-on-one every day and we start talking the game and seeing how competitive he was, even with practices and scrimmage, I'm like, oh, this dude's a dog. Like he's going to be just fine when the pieces around him are set up the proper way.
Right.
And now they're reaping the benefits of it with CP coming. He changed the whole complexion along with their growth internally. But getting Amani Williams, getting, you know, coaches like that, vet coaches who are stable and know who they are along with what's going on. It's no surprise they're doing well.
How would you describe your play? Are you better suited to play with younger players because they're going to listen to you, or older players? Or you just, you like, I roll with the punches. I do.
That's what I'm most proud about my career. I could adjust. I've had 20 different coaches. So imagine when you go to college, right? Or your first 4 years, you got one coach, he's like, you know what, I want you to be the #1 receiver. The second coach is like, nah, next year, I want you to be #2. Next one's like, nah, you will come off the bench for these dudes. Next one, like, you might be a tight end. Right. And you just have to adjust the whole time and never lose yourself and still be true to who you are and still find a way to make it happen. That's what I'm most proud about. So for me, I think an older team would lean on me more to make it happen on the court. I think a younger team will probably lean on me more off the court to make it happen.
Has a coach ever said something to tick you off like, bro, let me do me?
Yeah, I've had some coaches. I play a crazy style, and I get it. I'm an acquired taste. My style isn't for everybody.
You're
I
not
get
for
that.
everybody.
No, I'm not for everybody. You ain't gonna eat hot sauce on your pancake, whatever it might be. I get it. So for me, I just try to. What I did learn about myself is I usually have more fun and more success with guys who actually played that I'm playing for, because they know you can go 0 for 3, 0 for 4, they turn it around. They know that. Some guys that haven't played maybe not know that the feel of the game. Oh, he's off tonight. He missed 2 shots. I'm like, no, I'm just getting in the game now. I'm getting louder. So yeah, I've had that happen before, and I just try to adjust and roll with the punches.
Let's talk about Doc. Doc had great success in Boston. He moves to LA. You guys are having success with the Clippers. But for whatever reason, as you mentioned, he's not able, even after getting Kawhi, after getting Paul George, bringing on some other guys, he's not able to get it over the finish line. They have a 3-1 lead. They're up by double digits in all those games, 5, 6, and 7. They don't get it done. He moves on. Are you surprised that he wasn't able to get it done with last year's roster? And what do you think about the job he's doing in Philly right now?
Yeah, I was surprised being up 3-1. I just knew they'd find a way to win the game. But it's a slippery slope. It's a touchy thing, because now if you lose that one, I've been up 3-1 with him and lost. And we played Houston. We lost and we was down 3. We was up 3-2. We was like, oh, we're gonna finish it at home. We're up in game 6, 19 the fourth quarter. 19 the fourth quarter at home. You could simulate that 100 times and 99 times, and they work in our favor. And that may be the one time it did. Right. And their best player, James Harden, didn't play 1 second in the fourth quarter. So they came back with Prigioni, Josh Smith, Jason Terry, Corey Brewer, and Dwight Howard. Right. So I've been in that locker room in that situation before. It's 3-1 sounds like a wide margin, but after it's 3-2, now they start getting fake. We ain't got nothing to lose, man. I mean, look what LeBron and those guys did against the Warriors.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when it gets to game 7, everybody's tight. You're like, oh man, like they got momentum. So I was surprised they didn't finish it. Seeing the job he's doing in Philadelphia, I'm not surprised, because I knew if anybody could get Ben Simmons and Embiid on the same page and get that team believing and get them over the hump, it would be Doc. I remember texting him as soon as he got the job, like, oh, you're going to take them to the next level. I just knew it. I know he stands for, I know what he's about. I know how he gets everybody to buy in the team, and that's exactly what they need.
But it seemed to me that on Doc's exit, the superstars, they threw Doc under the bus. And what I'm seeing now as they play, maybe it's the same things you're seeing. In clutch situations, they can't get stops defensively, and they can't execute offensively. The same thing that happened in that 3-1 lead. Yeah.
And you know what? The regular season, especially when you come to a new team, is about building those habits. I remember Doc used to always say, it'll be game 35, we're playing in Utah. He's like, yeah, it worked tonight, but it's not going to work in the Western Conference semis. It's not going to work in the playoffs, so he's always thinking long term. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, especially until I see them under that fire. Right now, they still figure stuff out. They still got another half of the season. I want to see where they're at when the playoffs come around and see if the adjustments are made.
But the two superstars, what are they figuring out? You like, okay, put the ball in the basket. Okay, now I was told, I don't know if you heard this also, you're talking about the 2 greatest wing defenders since Pip and Jordan. And I see Luka on a conga line. I see Bradley Beal. You can't be a defensive team if you let the stars go get 10, 15 points over their season average.
You're absolutely right. But Luka did it last night too, and Doc ain't coaching them.
Oh, so that's what you said it wasn't Doc. That's what I need to hear you say.
I wasn't in that particular locker room, so I don't know exactly. But I'm sure when it's time to play the blame game, it's easy to find that. I think it's a combination of everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everybody. I've always said that you win as a team, you lose as a team.
But you can't let Luka do that.
Well, the rest of the league's letting Luka do it.
No, but the rest of the league ain't got the two best wing defenders since Jordan and Pip.
That's true. Sometimes people got your number though. It may be just a certain matchup. And I didn't watch that game.
What about Jason Tatum? Jason Tatum got their number 2?
That's a bad boy.
What about Bradley Beal?
That's another bad boy.
KD, Harden, and Kyrie. I know a lot of people got their number. They need to get an unlisted. Hey, Jamal, they need to get an unlisted number, because that number must be public. Because them people just dialing them up.
But one thing we do know is Kawhi is almost like a robot. He's going to be there. He's proven. He got 2 championships. He's a lockdown defender. When it's time to be there, he will be there.
Are we sure about this? Now, see, I think you're talking about the Kawhi from San Antonio. We haven't seen that guy.
Well, in Toronto, we saw that guy. He wouldn't win a championship.
We saw them build a wall. We saw KD get hurt. We saw Klay Thompson get hurt. We haven't seen Kawhi sit in that chair in a long time.
Well, hold on now. We just talked about how the league is now. You can't even touch no more. So it's gonna take a while to stop anybody anyway. These days now, anyway.
Man. So who you like in the West then? You like the Clippers? You like the Lakers? You like Utah? You like the Nuggets?
I like the Lakers in the West. I like the Lakers in the West. I like Brooklyn in the East. I think that's the finals matchup. That's my preview.
I think that's the matchup everybody wants to see.
That's the one everybody wants to see. So fingers crossed that both those guys do what they're supposed to do, and they get where we see these guys at the highest level.
What's your favorite team you played on?
I would say the Clippers and the Knicks. And the Knicks, we weren't that good at the time, but there's nothing like playing in the Garden. And it's like you're on stage performing. I remember one game, Samuel Jackson came to the game and I wasn't playing. He was across court and I had a suit on. He said, "Well, you ain't playing?" I said, "Nah, my hand. My soul's on my hand." He said, "Oh, like I was only coming to watch you play." So just moments like that you don't forget. And you can't duplicate that energy that's in the Garden anyway. And then the Clippers, because I feel like I'm not saying we should have won a championship, but I felt like we should have at least made the finals 1 to 2 times.
Even though you weren't the energy, because everybody understands the Garden. We understand what happens in the Garden, just not basketball game. You have Jay-Z performing concerts and Kevin Hart selling out comedy shows.
Boxing matches, yeah.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
so you have so much of and the history of the Garden. Do you believe what if you guys had gotten to NBA, gotten to the finals on that team? You guys have been rock stars, celebrities forever.
Oh, we would walk on air. You would literally walk on air. Spreewell came to walk around New York right now. That was 20 years ago when they went to the finals. So, yeah, I think we'd be walking on air. We wouldn't pay for any meals, anything in town forever.
Donald Sterling, you was there.
Yeah.
We all here. Look, I live in LA now, and there's not very many buildings that you can pass, especially here in Beverly Hills and on Wilshire, that doesn't have Sterling on it. So we know he's a big presence. Did you know, you hear things, but did you know it was to that extent in which he did not like blacks?
No, I had zero idea. I heard he was different. You know, right. I heard he was a little weird. He had these weird white parties and things of that nature. I heard all that. And even but he wasn't present with our team. In my years there before he got, removed, he came in the locker room one time. So it wasn't like we'd see him across court, but he wouldn't say nothing. Right. We saw him in the locker room one time. So when we heard that this could potentially come out, we were like, okay, well, he's already a little weird, a little different. So what did he say? That's without us knowing what was said.
Right.
Then when we hear the tapes, now it's taking on a whole different life of its own. Now at the time, social media just kind of started, and you had people giving their opinion about what they should do and what you should do. And this is y'all's moment. This is y'all's, you got to take a stand. And we even had some players from Golden State say, hey, if you guys don't want to play, we won't play either. So it was deep, and we had to work through that. And fortunate for a time, he didn't need to be there anyway with those kind of thoughts. Nobody knew it was to that degree or that level.
Are you surprised the NBA took the steps that it took in order to remove him?
No. If you look at the NBA, they've always kind of been the leader. They've done things in this world. And Adam is unbelievable. He doesn't even just feel like a commissioner. He feels like someone you can talk to, someone that's really going to listen to you, listen to, and listen to what's best for the league and your concerns and try to rectify that. So I had no idea that it was going to go that fast, but he made it happen, and we were able to breathe a little bit as it did happen that fast.
You were in Minnesota with Jimmy Butler, Cat, Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
We want to know about what really happened at the practice, because we got bits and pieces here and somebody said this over there. I need to know, the people really want to know what really happened and how did it happen at the practice?
I was gone at that point. Remember, I only stayed 1 year.
Okay.
But Jimmy called me.
Okay.
He said, man, if you could have been at this practice here. They said he came in there. He came to the practice, I believe, after it got started. And they were kind of shocked to see him because I think he was coming off an injury or something. He came in there And I'm gonna tell you the coldest part, and I don't know if Jimmy said this. I think he had his Rolex on while he was killing everybody with the ball. I think he had a Rolex watch on while he was killing people, picking them apart in practice, and then walked off again. It was classic from what I heard.
So why didn't Jimmy, like you said, you're an acquired taste.
Yeah.
Listening to Jimmy, watching Jimmy, Jimmy is also an acquired taste. But you would think if something tastes good, you would like, okay, I'm going to at least try it. Why don't you think Jimmy worked in Minnesota?
I think Jimmy, knowing him and playing with him, Jimmy's all about hard work. He's all about getting better. He's all about team. And if he doesn't feel that from everybody, then he's already rubbed off the wrong way. You got to remember, Jimmy's a self-made superstar.
Right.
JUCO, had to really grind. If you know his situation when he had to come up through, he wasn't one that was, prodigy as a kid and like knew what this was going to be. He made himself there. Even when he came to Chicago, he was a defender first. He got minutes by being a defender. So he respects the grind. I say that to say this. He respects the grind. He respects the game. He respects people that put the work in. And he respects no agendas. It's all about winning. And when he went to Miami, I told him, I said, you were built for Miami 20 years ago. You didn't even know it, but the way everything you stand for and what you're about and how they go about their business, he was a Miami Heat player. So I think those things rub him the wrong way. If he sees anybody not fall in line with all those things, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make every shot. But you're going to try hard. You're going to put your team first, and you're going to work hard. And if you don't do those things, Jimmy's off you.
Let's talk about some of your teammates. And when I mention your name, you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Nate Robinson.
Character. I played with Nate in high school. Then I played with him again in the NBA. Character. He was the same. Nate's the same at 6 in the morning as at 6 at night. He's a character.
Let me ask you one thing about Nate. Why didn't you call Nate and say, Nate, don't you get your ass in that ring? You're not a boxer.
Hey, you know what? Nate was basketball state player of the year, football state player of the year, and to this day owns the fastest time in the hurdles. Nate can do anything. But what I told him is that day, I said, look, when you go in there, man, you got to be calm. You got to be calm. You got to remain calm. Boxing, just watching. I'm not a boxer. I would never go in there. But just watching, they always look at Floyd Mayweather. He don't even start really getting into it till round 3 or 4 when he's dissecting. Right. And he's the best. But right. I told Nate just to be calm. Just be calm. And when he went out there, it was like he was moving so fast. But I would never bet against Nate. But I didn't like to see what I saw there at all.
But here's the thing. You wouldn't bet against Nate in something basketball, maybe football related, maybe track and field. You put somebody in an unfamiliar environment. I would bet against a lion. But if I put a lion in water and says, okay, beat this crocodile or beat this alligator, I'm taking the alligator. I'm taking the animal that's in his habitat.
You're absolutely right. I thought it was more of charity. I didn't know they was really getting down boxing like that. Like I thought it was a charity type thing. It was real. It was real.
But how you fight for charity? You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, they will play fight. Ain't no play fight. We either do this or we don't.
Yeah, I learned that watching it. Now you either do it or you ain't. Man, that was crazy. That was crazy. And then when Snoop started singing, it just made it way worse.
Man, Snoop out his mind. Snoop said, oh, Lord.
Yeah, I got to talk to Snoop about that one. But no, it was, but the thing about Nate believes he can jump over tall buildings. And he's done that. He's proven that. So there ain't no back down in him at all. And I respect that part about it, for sure.
Of all your teammates, who talked the most trash?
Ooh, that's a good one. Talk the most trash out of all of them? Maybe Rick Brunson. Rick Brunson was a good trash talker. He had them slick one-liners. Yeah, he had them slick one-liners.
I thought you were going to say the truth.
Oh, you're right. You 1,000,000% right. And you know what? And it ain't even close, actually. I'm tripping. I was tripping on that one. The truth is absolutely number one in trash talking list. And probably the number one that I played against was Kevin Garnett. So them two together, I couldn't even imagine that.
You played with some tough guys. You played with Oak, Metal World Peace, Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, Stephon Marbury, Steve Francis, Chauncey Billups. You got to go. You going into a fight. Who you taking with you?
I'm taking Oak and Meta. I'm taking them two. I'm taking Oak and Meta. Them two. Them two is first.
Why do when I mention tough and I say, okay, we got to go to a fight, everybody bring up Oak. Oak, my dog. I've been knowing Oak 25 years, so I know Oak. But it's funny to hear other people talk about Oak.
Let me flip it. Out of all your sports friends that ain't in the NFL, who you taking to the fight that you've met over the years?
Whoo! I'm gonna take Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Keith Burns. I'm gonna take Steven Jackson, and I want to take Matt Barnes.
That you can't go wrong with them.
I'm good.
So you can't go wrong with them at all. They're my boys too. You can't go wrong with them.
I'm taking them two basketball. I'm taking, if you basketball player, give me Oak, give me Stacks, give me Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes.
You have all the. I give you all the rest of them.
I play with all three of them too, so I'm going to war with all of them. Them three.
Your signature move. I mean, everybody the crossover. You know, Iverson had a great crossover, but they nicknamed you Jay Crossover. How do you set the move up, and how did it come about?
Well, I got different variations of it, to be honest with you. And when I grew up, I was watching Isaiah Thomas, I was watching Tim Hardaway, and then Allen Iverson took it by storm. But Allen's it was a left or right, you know, and it was getting everybody with it. Yep. And he was getting along with it. He rocked Mike's world with that one. But and he did it twice. If you go back and look, he hit him with a short one first.
Right. To see why he was respond.
And then he hit him with that long one. But so I learned from those guys. And I always went to the Iverson one. And I said, you know what? What if I do it behind my back? It would be even harder for the defense to get the ball. And so I said, I'm gonna do it behind the back. And I just started making different variations of it. You know, and being a guy who's 6'5", you know, with long arms, sometimes I'll lose the ball, but only I know where it's at. So they think I lost, so I can go back and get it. And it plays right into the crossover. You know, so for me, I saw it and started evolving mine. I stole something from all those guys and just try to make my own collage of it.
Because what makes yours so unique, as you mentioned, you're 6'5". Those guys are 6'3" and below.
Yeah,
you look at Isaiah, you look at Iverson, you look at Steph, you look at Kyrie, Hardaway, Rod Strickland, all the guys that can pat the rock. None of them were as long and lanky as you are.
That's why when you talk about top handles, I didn't want to toot my own horn, but I'm like, no, I'm 6'5". So that's an advantage for me because I have such long arms and I can put the ball in places and then, you know, go back and turn into a crossover.
Who's your favorite player you crossed over?
I'm gonna go with Ray Allen.
Man, Ray ain't on the field. You crossed over a shooter. You proud of that?
Nah, because Ray was Jesus Shuttlesworth. That was my life in high school. When I saw that movie, I was like, man, he got game. That's Jesus. That's, you know, so just Ray being a shooter and being such a great player and Hall of Fame player and such respect for him, I would say Ray Allen. Nothing against Ray at all. It's just the stature he is. Right. He's a great player.
We talked about you coming off the bench. Explain the conversation the first time a coach says, Jamal, we're going to move you from the starting lineup and you're going to be a reserve. You're going to start coming off the bench. What was that conversation? And did you but I'm giving you buckets as a starter? Yeah,
it was Larry Brown. He was one of the first ones, you know, once I established myself in my career. Before I was even sixth man, I was in year 6 and I just started and averaged, I think, 18 the year before. He was like, no, I want you to be our punch off the bench. I think our team will be better. And I'm really a big team guy. So I said, all right, well, he's like, I'm gonna give you the same freedom, everything. You know, so I had some really good games.
It was just that simple.
It was that simple. It was you felt a little weird at first, like, oh man, you know, a little shot to the ego, but you know what? I always look at it like a challenge. Like I'm into different challenges. I always feel like there's another mountain to climb. So for me, I said, you know what, this is something I've never done before. Let me see if I can do it. And I'm confident enough in my skills that I thought I could make the adjustment. It was more so mentally I had to make the adjustment.
Okay. I need your Mount Rushmore 6 men. Now, you only got 4 spots.
Yeah. I'm going to go.
J.R. Ginobili, Jason Terry, Eddie Johnson, Dale Curry, Lamar Odom. We got Michael Wave and Jamal Crawford. You only got 4 spots.
Well, I'm not going on that list, so I'm not even putting myself on there.
Oh, you're not?
One thing, I can't. I don't put myself on those lists, and I don't. I pay homage to the people. If you look at my wall, I got people that are all before me. So every time
you ain't got no picture of yourself on the wall.
No, look at it. I ain't got nobody. I got Tupac back there. I got a bunch of people, but I ain't got myself. So I'm not going to put myself on. I'm going to always pay homage. So keep that in mind. I'm going to have you check. Mikhail.
Okay.
Ricky Pearson, Eddie Johnson in microwave. I can't do nobody from my era. I gotta give them their flowers.
Hold on. You know what? I've noticed that because a lot of rappers, a lot of singers do that. They don't and comedians, because I have some of those guys on the show, and they're like, man, I can't put that guy, he my era. I can't put him up on Mount Rushmore. So what is it about guys from your era that you find so hard to put on Mount Rushmore?
It's not about them so much as respect to the generation
before them.
Yeah, because we're standing on their shoulders. You know what I mean? Like we didn't know what a 6-man was until it was Havlicek and Mikhail and those guys. So for me, if you did my era, if you changed the question and said my era, I can give you a better answer. But
okay, well, your era.
Ginobili.
Okay.
Lou.
Okay.
Jason Terry.
Okay.
Lamar Odom.
That's
and
it.
And I know, but then I got to give love to Ben Gordon. Shout out Ben Gordon, just because he did his thing when he was a 6-man as well.
You grew up in Seattle, and Seattle is really not. It's not like, look, we know Doug Christie was in Seattle. Yourself, Nate Robinson. I think you had someone else that played and went to your high school. But it's not like New York. It's not like one of these major cities that's known for Detroit, known for hoopers.
Right.
What was it like growing up in Seattle, and did you always know you wanted to be an NBA player?
It was special because the basketball community was so tight. You know, you could see a Gary Payton or Sean Kemp. Once I was 16 years old, they were coming to my high school games, and allowed me to come around them and learn from them. So the community was always special for that reason alone. And then you see guys like when I was coming out of high school, it was a big thing just to go Division I. You know, guys would get more scholarships in football. We had more history with the Eric Metcalfs and the Corey Dillons,
right?
You know, and the Laurie Malloys and those guys. And basketball was only, Doug Christie and Clint Richardson, James Edwards, and they were way before us besides Doug. You know, so I think Doug really took me under his wing, and in turn, once I made it, Brandon Roy, Isaiah Thomas, DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine, Kevin Porter, now all those guys coming up, they see us in the community, one of their own going to the NBA, like we can do it. You know, before it was like just if you win Division I, a big time Division I, that was like going pro. It's raining, we always inside the gym, but then you see a Nate Robinson go, like, oh, well, if I'm Avery Bradley, I can do that. A Marvin Williams, a Martell Webster, Spencer Halls. So many guys, and I think that's what the culture is special up here because we're all supporting each other at all times. There's an 8th grader right now who can text me, or a sophomore in high school can text Zach LaVine and ask him questions. We're all right here, and that's the culture we built.
Did you always want to play basketball, or was there other sports you were interested in? No football, no track and field?
I played football, Shannon. I had hands. I think I got better hands than you. No, I'm talking crazy. I'm talking crazy now, but see how you laughed at me? But I played football. I started football, basketball, baseball at the same time. 8, 9-year-olds, all three of them. Football, I had really good hands. Baseball, I didn't really want to play offense. I just wanted to play defense. It's opposite in basketball. Right. And then basketball, I just stayed with it. It was just natural to me. My dad actually played. He played with Kevin Love's dad at the University of Oregon. Yeah, so I've always been around basketball ever since I was 2 years old, man. It's had a hold on me. It still does to this day.
But I'm looking at your body type. You're in your 40s, and you probably weigh $180. So I can just imagine you as a 14, 15-year-old kid. Did you weigh 120 pounds then?
No, I wasn't 120. I wasn't 120. I wasn't Pookie. I wasn't Pookie out here, but I was like 165, 170 at the time. But yeah, I was thin. I was real thin.
You dropped the legendary, the pro-am that you dropped 63 in front of Kobe. Mm-hmm. What was it like doing that in front of Kobe? What was it like playing against Kobe and being around him?
So I'm answering 2 parts, and the second part was when me and you gonna start debating about something. I already know where it's going, but hold on. So the first part, Kobe's aura was like nothing else. It was like nothing else I'd seen. The closest I'd seen to it was Jordan, and I'd been around Jordan from being with the Bulls and him really taking an interest in me and spending time with him. But Kobe had a stranglehold on the league. He was just like, he was that myth. You didn't see him unless it was the gym or a commercial. You didn't see him nowhere else. You never saw him out. You never saw him at the grocery store. And so playing against Kobe, our relationship over the years took off, and we were actually here for a Richard Sherman softball game. Mm-hmm. And me and Kobe, we had respect over the years, and we started talking, and we just really hit it off that day. And everybody that comes to Seattle is like, man, you got to get this guy a pro-am. And I'm like, man, Kobe still, he got that aura about him. I'm like, Kobe, man, would you come to watch me play in pro? He's like, you playing? I said, yeah. And a guy from Nike was like, no, we got to get back to LA. Kobe's like, no, I'm gonna go watch Jamal play. So he brought his whole family at the whim. He had every reason in the world to say no. And he brought his family at the whim and came watch me play. I'm driving over there like, man, Kobe's behind me. I don't believe this. But I said, it's got to be special. So I scored 63 and hit the game-winning shot. And we texted a lot. And our relationship really grew and took off. And I was just, honored. And then I think you're about to ask how I look at him as far as a player.
Yes.
He was the best player I played against. And obviously we're positions, but he just was. And you was a big Kobe guy, and I know that. You really have respect for both of them, but you love Kobe as well. You love Kobe, and Kobe was like nothing else, man. His mentality and his work ethic and his skill. He was something different. And it was an honor to play against him.
What made him so tough to defend?
He was fearless. He was fearless, and he had a counter to every single move he had. And then he had 2 counters to it. So he could go 0 for 15 and still hit the game with a shot. He wasn't shying away. So when you have that kind of work ethic, that kind of skill, that kind of mentality, and that kind of freedom, oh man, it's over. So that's why you've seen him score 62 and Dallas score 61 or score 80 in a game, because you put all those things together and it's magic.
I don't know if I had a list, it came out, but I saw where you commented, any list that doesn't have Kobe in the top 5, you don't have respect for it.
No.
You believe Kobe is a top 5 player all time. I'm talking about all players currently and
yeah, and I think a lot of players will tell you that actually played against him, to be honest with you. His mentality and his competitiveness it set him apart, and obviously, like, I didn't see Wilt play. I didn't see Mr. Bill Russell play, who I'm actually very fond of and tight with. I didn't see those guys play, so I don't want to disrespect them by any means. I'm saying guys that I've actually played against and seen play.
You saw Magic play, right?
I saw Magic. I got those two, LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan in my top 5.
I mean, that's not a bad top 5, but you do know in the history of sports, it's not, I don't know if we've ever had a guy ranked top 5 with only 1 MVP.
You're right, but MVP is kind of man-made, right? Like, even that's man-given. Your peers are the ultimate respect and the ultimate bar for, how they feel about you. How you he went 5-2 in the finals. How I look at it too is if you look at tape, you look at any era, I believe Kobe would have been dominant in every single era. And I think his competitiveness and work ethic alone was separated from a lot of guys.
It seems to me you went more modern player than your top 5. Because like you said, you didn't see Russell play, you didn't see Chamberlain play, but you saw Tim Duncan. I
did see Tim Duncan. I think he's the best power forward ever. But
you saw Shaq.
I did see Shaq. I think Shaq's right there too.
You saw Larry Bird.
I did see Bird. It took me a while for even LeBron to pass. I saw Bird, but it took a while. Those guys are top 10.
Bird was an acquired taste because we had never seen, I had never seen a white guy be able to do what he was able to do. And I think you took it for granted. And then when you watched him, he bust up everybody. You talk about fearless.
Everybody. I talked to Dominique Wilkins about him. And he was telling me stories when Bird had 60, he was talking at his bench. And they had to find some of their own players because they was like, man, hold on. You can't be laughing at me while I'm out here. This dude is killing people. He said, different. But yeah, these guys, all those guys before me, except Brown's younger than me, but everybody else is older than me. So I still paid homage to people for him.
LeBron, talk about LeBron. What makes LeBron so impressive? And are you surprised that here he is in year 18? He's still, because we've never seen a player play this well at this age, this late in his career. Are you surprised that he's playing like this?
I'm not, because look at the expectations of LeBron. This dude on the cover of Sports Illustrated and chosen one before he graduated high school. Correct. He exceeded expectations that nobody could exceed. And he exceeded them 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, so this dude he's one of one. And his brain, how smart, he's a basketball scientist. He's a savant. He's a chess player playing basketball. It's funny watching him. I was in Phoenix. I was watching him, and I'm sitting on the bench. He was playing with his brain before he was doing anything athletically. I saw it was like digital. I just saw everything moving in his brain first before he's moving the chess pieces to what he wanted. And he's like no other. LeBron he surpassed expectations 10 years ago. This dude is out of this world.
Why do you think he received so much criticism then? I mean, people say, well, look at what he's accomplished, and he plays the game the right way, and he doesn't get any trouble off the field. He doesn't have anything bad to say about anybody on the court. Why such dislike with LeBron, especially from some of the old players? They seem to seem to keep moving the line. Well, he does this. Well, they move the line a little further to say, well, he didn't do that, and he does that, and they move it a little further and say, well, he hadn't done this. Why such criticism for LeBron?
Because I don't think people hate on the good ones. People hate on the greats. You know what I mean? And what he's done is he's changed the way the landscape of the game. He's changed the way it looks. He changed the way it feels. He's changed so many things that people weren't used to, right? And he's done it in such a way that you can't do nothing about it. Like this dude he's going from the East to the West, going to the finals, winning championships here, winning championships there. I'm going to 10 straight finals. I hadn't been to 10 straight finals in my pro-am or 8 straight, like I had done in the pro-am. So this dude is just, there's no limit to what he can do, so you have to respect it.
He changed the landscape. He made it okay for a great player to go somewhere else. Because before LeBron, really Shaq was the only one that had left. But I don't know, but at that time, Shaq wasn't as accomplished as LeBron was. LeBron had won 2 MVPs by the time he packed up. Had gone to the finals. Shaq had gone to the finals. But I think LeBron at that time was probably a 5 or 6 time first team all NBA player. So he was really accomplished. So I will give Shaq his credit. Shaq was the first to do it as a great player to lead. But LeBron, when LeBron went to Miami from Cleveland, I think that opened up the floodgates that nobody thought would ever open.
Yeah, I think that did. And that brought a lot of hate. I mean, it brought a lot of love as well for going back home. But I think the Miami thing is where the hate really started. If you go back and think about it, right? Even the decision, it benefited a lot of kids and everything. But I think that's where the hate started because you had Wade, who was a top 10 player at the time. You had Bosh, who was a top 10 player. And now you got the best player at the time. You know what I mean? Going there. So that's where I think the hate really started.
But I don't see the same level of vitriol for KD teaming up with James Harden and Kyrie.
Yeah, but they haven't won it yet either. So if they win it, that hate could come potentially. And I'm sorry, Shannon. And I think because at the time when LeBron did it, he was the first of his kind to kind of do it that way. Because when Boston did it, they were in mid-30s. You know what I mean? They did it all in their prime. So I think they've already seen that template. But KD got some of that hate going to Golden State.
Right. Well, I think KD got it because he went to a team that he had down 3-1.
Yeah, that was part of it. He had 3-1. I think that's what people kind of added that twist to it, and they couldn't really get over. Right. But I mean, it's all the same, right? Even if they had him down 2-2 and ended up losing, it's the same. You went to a team, and that's where people's area of fire is from. I don't care about it, because now it's not good because we're judging players on championships.
Right. That's what caused this. Because it wasn't good enough to be a great player. You say you're a great player, but you didn't win anything. And they throw that up in your face. So now guys are saying, okay, well, I want to go win a championship. And now you're like, well, you ring chase.
Right. You can't have it both ways. Right.
Right. And either championships matter or they don't.
Right. And that's the whole thing. And that's you just said it. That's the whole thing.
Obviously, I think your GOAT is Michael Jordan. You played with Mike. Give us some story. What was Mike like in practice? Some of the gambling stories, because we know he's an all-time great gambler, always trying to get people out their money. Yeah, Mike is like, I didn't play with him with the Bulls, but like I said, when I was with Chicago, my dad had told me previously in the drafts, like, hey man, Michael Jordan likes your game. I'm like, I'm before social media. I'm like, Dad, get out of here. How do you know Michael Jordan likes my game? So fast forward, I get drafted to the Bulls, and Tim Grover calls me one day. He's like, hey, MJ said you can meet him. I'm like, what? So at 6:30 in the morning, I drive down there. And this is when he was prepping for his comeback to the Wizards. Right. And so I go down there, and it's myself, Tim, and MJ in the weight room. I'll never forget, he's doing a defensive slide drill. And we were just talking. I didn't want to talk too much. He's workout.
It's like, hey, this summer we can work out together. And I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. So I call my friends back. Why isn't that Michael Jordan? Nobody answers. It's still early in the West Coast. So that summer, I start going there, working out with him, playing with him. And he was just like, his aura, it was like a ghost.
He doesn't seem real, does he?
He don't seem real. He don't seem real. Think about that. Me and you both feel the same way. There's a million other people that feel the same way they see us. He don't look real.
He doesn't. He doesn't. The first time I met him, I'm looking at him and I know he thought I was crazy because it's like he was levitating. And I know you're not supposed to play reverence and you're not supposed to be blasphemous like this, but he's like a god. I mean,
really is.
People, if I can't explain it, and everybody else that's ever met him, even superstars from Shaq and to Jordan, Shaq to LeBron, everybody else that's ever met him has said the exact same thing, that he doesn't seem real. It's like he's levitating.
It looks like there's white smoke around him. I promise you, it's something else. But I started being with him and hanging with him and like just watching him. He invited me to his house. Actually, he picked me to be an extra in his commercial to play the younger version of him. And we're playing one-on-one, and he just really took a liking to me. And so, you know, I never actually gambled with him. You know,
you're good, because you know
I ain't never gambled with him personally, but he was just, it's something different. I remember one time he came out there and some dude was talking trash to him. Yeah, Michael, I'm doing this, you know, I'm doing this now, and I'm making, as a player making, he's on the max contract. I'm getting my Ferraris now, I'm doing this. And they say, yeah, well, now I get mine. They give them to me free just to drive it. He had on, this is a true story, Shannon. He had on a yellow Jordan outfit. He had on some black, white, and yellow Jordans that probably still ain't out. And outside, he had a yellow Ferrari to match. So he just was, his whole thinking was just on a whole different plateau.
He is. He's a different animal. I mean, to be around him, it's like I said, it's hard to explain. But you know, and he has no problem. The thing that I love about him, he's that. He has no problem telling you, oh, I'm Michael Jordan. You know that.
Hey, there's one dude said, I ain't never said this. There's one dude that said, who was it playing against him? I forgot. I could stop you. He said, man, Michael Jordan's playground, airtime, come fly with me. You seen the home videos. You already know what's about. Like, he's up on all that stuff. And he's always looking at your feet to see what shoes you got on, to make sure you got some Jordans on. He's something else.
He's
one of a kind.
He's like, and people laugh. They say, "Well, what's he like?" I say, "I don't know what he'd be like to you, but I'm saying he was cool with me. I mean, if he knows you're comfortable, cool. He's super cool. But he gonna talk trash. That's in him.
That's in his DNA. Himself. He can't help that. But he's a good Southern down home brother. Like watching The Last Dance, you can see his mom, right? That's the thing that's really intriguing to me, how he was raised. His mom would still say, Mr. Jordan, talking about his dad.
Yeah.
It's real respectful, you know what I mean? And he's just cool. He's real cool. But we played together for 2 summers. We never lost one game. I never lost playing with him. 2 straight, he was 40 years old. 2 straight summers. We played against Penny, we played against Ray Allen, Tim Hardaway, Anton. Everybody was coming through Chicago. We never lost.
So do you believe that do you believe anybody will ever surpass him as far as his aura and what he's been able to do?
No. I think the timing of it, the shoes, what he accomplished. Shannon, I saw a stat yesterday. You know he never lost a championship? I don't mean with the Bulls. Olympics, FIBA, national championship, any championship game he's ever played in, he's never lost. So this dude was like out of this world. Like, I just don't think we'll ever see that. Like his competitiveness, his drive, his work ethic, he was just gonna find a way to be Michael Jordan. And he never let you down. He was Michael Jordan every single night.
And that was the thing. I think the thing is, one of my greatest accomplishments is that I actually got an opportunity to see him play. I didn't get an opportunity. I mean, I saw Magic the last time when he can't come back, but I didn't see Magic in his prime. I never got a chance to see Bird, but I got an opportunity to see Jordan. And I guess it's like, if you like golf, you got an opportunity to see Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods play. If you like tennis, you got a chance to see Nadal and Federer, Djokovic, and Serena Williams play. If you are a sports enthusiast and you got an opportunity to see that guy play, you know you witnessed something special.
Oh, Shannon, think about it. When we talk about GOATs in other fields, whether it be Tom Brady or soccer, whatever it might be, we say this guy is the Michael Jordan of this sport.
Of their sport. Yeah, they don't nobody
Like,
else say.
We don't say it about nobody. Like, he's inspired everybody.
Yes.
Like at those runs, Jay-Z and Beyonce were coming to watch Pickup. Like, he's inspired everybody from every walk of life, you know, and that's what he's just, I think God just put him here and said, you're gonna be the one.
He's the one.
Yeah.
Jamal, I appreciate it, bro. Thanks for stopping by the club.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing some insight. Best of luck. Don't know how it's going to turn out this journey, but hopefully you get an opportunity to play and you finish on your terms. Looks like you want to play. You want to be the Tom Brady of the NBA. You want to play it.
Hey, you know me and him went to school together. We went to Michigan at the same time, so I'm trying to keep up with him.
Don't let him outdo you. Don't let him outdo you. Get back in there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Jamal. Have a good one, bro.
You too. Thank you.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life.
You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button to become an official member of Club Shay Shay, where we always do something for two something.